We started today talking about polygyny. And subhanAllah, we were here for a long time. And tonight, we're joined by them. Sister Nyla and Sister Fatimah, could you turn on your camera, please?
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. I can hear you. Could you turn on your
No,
mic?
we're not.
We're unmuted now, sis.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so we actually started today talking about polygyny. We had a session earlier talking about normalizing polygyny, and the session was supposed to be just 2 hours maximum. We were here for 4 hours. And I was like, oh my God.
I mean, that's how it is. That's how it is with this subject. You know, you would think that it's going to be a short time, but it's so much, so many moving pieces to it. So, of course, you know, it's going to be longer than we anticipate.
4 hours. And you know what was interesting was that I thought, you know, people would be like, oh no, this is too long. We need to go. Nobody said anything.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So, people are really excited to have you here. I'm sure more people will join us to start. So we need to start the discussion. We're joined by sisters from across the world, alhamdulillah. Nigerian sisters mostly, who are interested in having this discussion about how to thrive in polygyny. Like, how are you guys doing it?
One day at a time.
Right.
In polygyny myself, and I honestly, I don't think I sit with my co-wife to do nothing. So I'm also going to be taking notes, inshallah.
Inshallah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. We're honored to be with you all. It's very humbling for us both.
Yeah.
Wallahi, I never thought we'd be doing this work, and it's very fulfilling for us both, you know, to help people, because we remember being in these places of not knowing what to do. So this is very fulfilling work. If someone gets something from us both, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, so I leave you to do your thing, inshallah.
Inshallah.
I'll just be here.
It's so funny because we've, over the year, I want to say the past year, we've spoken on so many different parts and so many different facets, the moving pieces of polygyny, because that's of course why the conversation becomes longer than we even think it would be, because you have everything from, you know, the initial feelings when polygyny is brought up, when polygyny happens, then you have the blending of families, if it's, you know, kids from other marriages, and, you know, these different things. So we've noticed that we have some ongoing questions that's the same questions around the board, and it's consistent, the same things. So we kind of talk about those and try to knock those out of the way, because we understand that everybody is on a different journey, you know, and we always tell people, do not compare your chapter 1 with our chapter 10, because we've been in it for 10 years. So the thing is, it has not always been, you know, the sunshine and rainbows and peaches and cream and the hunky-dory thing. But the thing is, that's what people want to know. They want to know, okay, well, if that's the case, then how do we get there? What do we do? What steps do we take? Is it okay that it may take some years instead of, you know, this overnight success type of thing? Because we weren't that overnight success.
Right.
Okay. So you're supposed to talk to us about thriving in relationships, in polygyny relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all.
We ready? Okay.
Yes. The interesting thing is, my co-wife and I, we've done one of our main things that we do and we talk about is communication, because communication is big. so key.
Yeah.
Communicating, and not just communicating, but communicating to connect. Whether you're communicating with your spouse to connect, whether you're communicating, whether you want to develop a relationship with your co-wife, that communicating to connect is a big deal. Being able to be transparent, being able to allow yourself the freedom to say how you feel, but to say it in a way and express it in a way where the other person is receiving the information, that the person is able to receive it. The thing is, we have our ways of that we receive information that may be the best way that we think we should receive the information, or we have our feelings and we're like, look, I'm just gonna spew all my feelings all over you, type of thing, and then wonder why we're not being heard. So the thing is, learning to communicate, to connect, to say, okay, how is this person's communication style?
Yeah.
How is this person going to, how am I going to best communicate how I feel to them and allow them to listen to me and understand what I'm saying and understand how I'm feeling? Because it's not just about me. Yes, I know it's about me. Yes, I'm feeling this way, but it's not just about me.
Right. So, and we always talk about how polygyny is just not happening to one person. I can speak for myself as an initial wife. You feel your feelings. You become like, it's about not becoming that emotion, you know? I didn't want to become just sad. I'm sad Fatimah, or I'm angry Fatimah. You know, I didn't want that to be my attribute, because we know as Muslims, we're supposed to want to live up to the names that we choose, or the ones that we were given, you know? So I said, okay, if we're al-mujahid, then we're the warrior, then we need to act like that. And I wasn't showing up as a high-powered coward. And I was like, I'm not going, if I act like polygyny isn't here, maybe to just go away, you know? And that's not the case, you know? And I was like, nah, it's not going to go away. Because I remember, you know, when people are in that space where they're desperate, they just want to feel like the way they feel is just, you know? So when we were communicating, or when Coach Nyla wanted to communicate with me, the good part about communicating with healthy intentions with your co-wife is that you're not doing it to get brownie points with your husband, and you're not doing it expecting something in return. And she never expected anything in return from me. She let me go on my own time, and she didn't push, you know, but she did extend they say in America, the olive branch, you know. She made the first move to go, okay, like, I'm here. If you want to talk, I'm here. If you want to tell me your story, I'm here. And I think that's the best way to be, because it takes the pressure off the person that doesn't want to communicate. And they go, okay, she doesn't want anything from me. She's not trying to take anything from me. She's just saying, I'm ready to hear your story, and I'll offer you mine. That doesn't mean we share in each other's marriage. Girl, he get on my nerves and no, we were starting to learn who the other one was as a human being, just not as a wife, you know? And I like that she gave me my time, and I'm like, this is great, because some other co-wives said, well, I'm not going to push either then, because if she didn't push you, and I know how you are, Fatimah, that's such a great thing to practice. Because she was giving me that olive branch in the way that I would receive it. And that was through a text, which I'm like, okay, she didn't run up on me at Juma, or she didn't come up to me at Eid. She gave me so much time to like heal and be better, you know, because I feel like Coach Nyla was like there, because she studied polygyny, and I looked at it, like I glanced at it a couple times, and I was at a few talks, but I didn't study it enough to be okay with how I would operate within it, you know? So I'm like, okay, I know that's his right, but I wasn't educated enough to be a wife in polygyny yet. And we always say yet, because polygyny is doable and with the proper mindset.
Exactly. That's so key and so true.
You gotta
so true. The mindset. Yeah, the desire. It's that mindset, it's that desire. And the interesting thing is, if your mentality is that we're in this for we're in this for as long as we can be up in we're in this, you know, I always say forever. But the thing is, when I say forever, that means we're committed to this thing. We're committed to a happy, healthy family. We're committed to these things. But if you have that mindset that we're committed to this, you're going to realize that you can go through and grow through a lot of different challenges, and you can go through and grow through them on your own, and you can go through and grow through them together.
Exactly.
So the thing is, you think about families and think about, your sister, brother, and everything like that. Everything is not always the best, every single time you're speaking to them, every time you're talking to them, it may be an argument here or there, a disagreement here and there, but you're not saying that I'm never going to be with this person, I'm never going to talk to this person again, I don't want them, I hate them, whatever the case may be. So it's like, why put that mindset in, in your polygynous, if you're in polygyny, why have that mindset? I think a lot of times people put different things on polygyny. Yes, polygyny is a different form of marriage, but polygyny is still marriage.
It's still marriage.
So when it comes down to it, people put these extra pieces to it, this extra stuff that need not be there. Like if this person was not married to your husband, or marrying into or whatever the case may be, however people want to word it, would you find a way, or is there any other reason for you not to like this person? Is there any other reason for you not to try to get to know this person? Is there any other reason other than that? And if that's the case, why? A lot of times here in the West, where we are, it's because of conditioning. It's a societal conditioning that says that
abnormal.
You shouldn't be able to like this person, or it should be, if your husband is loving on somebody else, then he can't love on you, or you are not worthy, or anything like that,
or just enough.
Right? And then you have people that will say, well, like you said earlier today, you were talking about people think that they're taking away from me. Somebody is taking this thing away from me, instead of seeing this expansion, where it's like, okay, well, I can expand my love with my children. I can expand my love with, people I love, my loved ones. So why is that any different?
We love our children. Then they go, how can he love you and her? I love all my children at the same time. I love my parents at the same time, my siblings, some of them at the same time. Some of them work my nerves, but and so why would it be any different for a man to love more than one woman at the same time? See, we put these obstacles, like you were saying, in the way. Islam has made it easy for us. We have to gather our emotions and control our emotions surrounding it. So that's where that mindset comes in. And getting to know each other as wives or women, not just an addition to the man or the husband in the middle. I could not do this work if Nyla and I didn't get a chance to know, well, what are your parents like? What are you like? What are your siblings like? What are your children like? Just like anybody else, the world wants us to not like each other. They act like we're natural born enemies, as we were talking about earlier. And that's just not the case. That's the stuff you buy into, is what it is. And I'm like, I'm getting my return, because I'm not buying into what the world wants me to feel about a person that I would normally think is a really great person, outside of the fact that we're married to the same man. That's where the destructiveness comes in at, because Islam has it. And I'm like, Allah knows, and I need to trust him. I'm like, I'm questioning him without knowing I'm questioning him. See, and with the questioning of Allah comes, you're challenging him. I'm like, if my child came up and challenged me, I go, who do you think you're talking to? And I'm like, and I'm not Allah. So if he put Coach Nyla in the life of Coach Nazir and indirectly in my life, then I need to trust Allah's decision on that. We start to overthink this, and we put the men in front of Allah, and we don't realize we're doing that. And then we'll go, oh, my husband. And I said, well, what if he dies? Then what? I'm going to ball up if he passes away? That's worshiping him when we put him before everything, including Allah, because you know what? They don't do that to us. Allah comes first for them, or he should. But then they'll go, then the men are going, why do you love me that much? Because it's not supposed to be that deep. Passionate love is for Allah. Moderate love is for the men. So when we love our husbands so deeply that their lifestyle choice just destroys who we are, that's not supposed to be that way. But we go, oh, he got married, and then we just completely lose our minds because of the act of getting married. Let's say nothing else happened, but that, like, there's no drama, because Coach Nyla has never given me drama. And I said, alhamdulillah. I said, Allah put the sister here that meshes well with me. But I didn't trust his decision. And I had to go, oh no, you better trust him. You know, and it only happened because we got to know each other, because Coach Nyla sent me a text, and I'll never forget it. I might be deaf, dumb, and blind, but I'm like, I will remember that text, because it was so, she didn't have to text me. She could have said, this woman's crazy. I tried with her, I'm out, you know, but she just was so good at that. And I love that she talks a lot and has trained a lot about mindset, because it's much to do with that.
It definitely is. I mean, that, and you can attest to that, because when it came down to, because some people ask us so many times, and they're like, well, how did this happen? Or how did you guys first meet? All these different things. So we go into these different stories about it. But the thing is that how we became where we are right now is because, like we talk about consistently, mindset and communication.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is, I didn't push the issue and push the thing with Coach Fatimah. However, I knew what I wanted, and that is what I wanted. I wanted a relationship with my co-wife. Some co-wives don't want a relationship.
Right, we're
with
not trying to say.
It's all like, but I did, because this is what sometimes we got to get. Not sometimes, all the time. We really do. I'm not going. Let me try to be a little nice, and we're not. We're grown. We have to talk about it in a way where people have to understand that we are responsible for our decisions, and we are responsible for how we are navigating through life, navigating through our marriages, navigating through our relationships. So the thing is that when Coach Fatimah made the decision to say, hey, this was her decision, you know, no one make, but this was your decision. Can nobody make a person do a thing that they don't want to do? And I really believe that, because things weren't forced, because it wasn't pressure, because it was like, you know what, we are all human. We have our feelings, our thoughts, and things like that. And if we want to grow, if we want to, these are things, if we want to do it, because people were like, okay, well, how do I do this? Or I feel this way about my husband marrying another woman, and it's really, really draining me. It's really killing me. It's really, allowing me to feel some type of way, and it's affecting their marriage. It's affecting their marriage because he don't feel that she trusts him enough, and then she feels that he don't love her anymore. And it's a lot of these different things and these obstacles. So we do get the questions of like, okay, well, how do we move past this? How do we grow through this? And the thing is, it takes that decision. I know it's easier. It sounds so simple. It sounds so simple, but the decision is simple. The decision is, am I going to do this? Am I not going to do this?
You're grown.
Now, everything that comes after that, that's the thing that takes work. And the thing is to make the work not feel like work. See, when we are doing the things that we love to do, even if we're doing work and we love doing it, we never feel that we work a day in our life. So we have to look at our relationships as something that we want to grow at. We have to look at our marriages as something that we want to win at. And if this is something that we want and we desire, we're going to find a way to make it a beautiful thing. We're going to make it fun, even through the challenges, because we got to look at ourselves and look at our spouses and say, you know what, we're in it to win it. And my co-wife and I, we always talk about this, so we didn't talk about it right now, but we have to let it be very, very clear. Minding your marriage is so key. So key. Your husband is monogamously married to the both of you, or the three of you, or the four of you. But he's monogamously married to you, and you're monogamously married to him. You're not married to your co-wife. So the thing is that if you want your marriages to thrive, mind your marriage. Work on your marriage. Don't compare. Don't compete.
That's violent.
Don't do these things, because what they may have is what works for them. what you have is what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't marry another version of you.
Right.
You know, he married somebody different.
You're Snow White and Maleficent.
So you gotta be you, because
Yeah.
that's who he married. That's who he fell in love with. That's who he, you know, decided, like, I'm in it for this person. But just because he married someone else does not take that stuff away. So we
Right.
gotta stop allowing it to take stuff away, because now it's changing us.
Right.
It's changing us outside of who we normally be.
In a bad way.
In a bad way.
In a bad way.
Where
Yeah.
we're looking ugly when we were looking
Yes,
so
girl.
beautiful, because our insides are showing something very dark and dirty.
Yeah, and then the thing is, if you're gonna, I remember my grandmother told me, my grandmother is not Muslim, and she now is suffering from dementia, and she doesn't even know who I am anymore. But I remember her advice. She said, you're either gonna stay or you're gonna go, but you're not gonna do both, because you can't serve God and the devil. Now, with that being said, with the decision to stay, you have to do the things that support that decision. So you can't self-sabotage after you make that decision to stay with a man that practices polygyny. You don't say, well, I'm going to stay with you to spite him or to tolerate him, because what kind of marriage is that to even be in?
Yes.
Like, how do you love somebody and you're really just going through the motions, and it's a piece of paper and I'm just tolerating him? Because people feel that. They feel tolerated. Anytime one of us has been tolerated by someone else, I don't care if it was a parent, a child, a spouse, a sibling, you feel it. And it's undeniable, because it doesn't feel good. And our bodies are very in tune with our souls. It's just getting that mind set to align with all those other things. Because your body, you'll notice your body will reject anything that you're trying to do that's negative. You're trying to eat something that's not good for you, it will reject it. It'll throw it up, it'll give you diabetes, it'll do all types of things. If you're trying to destroy someone else, you'll look up and you'll be losing weight out of nowhere. You can't sleep, even though you're going, well, I destroyed their marriage. You'll be up. So your body will reject anything, because we're from Allah. So our bodies are wholesome, and then the soul gets in there and starts disrupting that peace. So we have to really be in control of the way we think about things. So when we say co-wives, we're not just co-wives. None of us are just wives or becoming wives. That's not our only attribute. That's not our only title. Some of us are mothers, and if you you're not a mother, okay, you have mothered someone's child. I know I've mothered many that I didn't give to through biology, but it's really controlling thoughts being things. So if initial wives or subsequent wives are saying, one thing to say is, I don't know why he's with her, versus he should be with her because that's his wife. That changes how you feel about polygyny once you own your husband's decision and go, he has another wife. Not another girlfriend, not a baby mama, not a mistress, because I've heard Muslim women use this term against one another. This is haram for us. Allah has given wives the role of wife. So why would you try to diminish that and rob her of her title by calling her a baby mama, a mistress? I had somebody try that with me, with Coach Nyla. Coach Nazir wasn't even around, and I doubt very seriously that I would have needed his help. I said, listen, this is what we're not going to do. You're not going to call, and I wasn't even talking to her then. We weren't communicating. I was quiet. I said, what you're not going to do is call her a baby mother in front of me, because that you're trying to make Islam look crazy, my husband look crazy, me look crazy, and my co-wife look crazy, and our babies look crazy. They didn't do it again. So if you're going to stay with the man, stand firm on that decision, but that didn't mean my mind was all the way healthy. It's sometimes people say, take it day by day. When you're in polygyny, sometimes you're taking it moment by moment. That's just being a human being, because we don't know. We're not promised this afternoon. Right. I'm not promised my next breath. So why should I focus so much on what's going wrong instead of focusing on what's going right?
Exactly.
So that's just one big thing as an initial wife that I can say. I think it's a universal principle, but I think we need to really take care of our mindset. Yeah. You better. You better.
And another thing is not keeping score.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And that was and what Coach Fatimah was saying is that is a big takeaway from that. When we are looking at things and saying, well, when you were talking about the staying in a marriage to have some type of leverage or to
the spite,
to do these different things and self-sabotage and this other stuff. It's like that's the thing, even in marriage, period. Yes. It's like we have to realize what keeping score means and get that out of our mindset, get that out of our mentality. And usually what it means is there's 3 ways of keeping score. One is looking at what your spouse does wrong.
Yeah.
So you'd be like, okay, well, they did this or whatever. So it's this kind of leverage. So then you're like, okay, well, they did this. So am I going to, and you use it to influence your decision on what you're going to do for them. And then the other thing is what you've done right. So you say, oh, well, I've done this and I've done these things. And, I brought him coffee, I cooked him food, I took care of the kids. We had a number of people that stated that, well, how can he marry someone else when I've done so much for him?
Like they stole your homework.
Yeah, like I've done this, I've had his kids, I'm like,
you didn't build him, you didn't create him.
Did you not want kids? Because we still, it goes into that, the thing that we have control over what we do in our lives. Can't no one force us. And I always say that, so like, can't nobody force me to do anything. Even if they had a gun to my head, I still have a choice. So when it comes down to it, is, we still have these choices. But, that's that second way of keeping score is that, what you've done right, over your spouse. The third one is comparing yourself with other relationships, comparing your relationship with others. Because you're like, oh, there's such and such, such and such. We not doing this, and we didn't go here, and such took, they went to Hawaii, or they went to, these other places. Those things are detrimental to a marriage, trying to keep score. Because if teams don't keep score on each other, that's what you do with your opponent. So when you look at your relationship, you look at your marriage, and you're in it to win it, then you're winning it as a team. And teams don't keep score amongst each other.
Yeah, and your children will do what they see you do. If they see you keep score with their father and his other wife, they will keep score with their brothers and sisters or bonus siblings. They will do it. I've seen it, and it's ugly, because then they start to break the family into parts. Our children are not like that. They know they're a part of one big family. We always were, but the communication had to get better. I'm like, I don't want these children growing up saying, if the family is screwed up, normally the adults in the family screw up a family. It's not the kids. Yeah. It's the adults that came before them that should have their stuff together, because one thing's for sure, 2 things for certain. These children are children now, and they'll be adults later, inshallah, if Allah wills. And they will tell you, our grandmother used to say they'll wash your face with it. They're going to bring it up later and say, why weren't you better? Why weren't you showing up as the best version of you that you could be? We got one time in this life. You're going to be dead longer than you're alive. So we have one time to get this right. And I had to come to the realization, and I know Coach Nyla did, the focus when we talk is hardly ever Coach Nazir, because there's other things to talk about. Because we're both moms, we're both entrepreneurs, business women. We like to have a good time with each other. So we can't do that if we're just talking about Coach Nazir. And we won't do it. So alhamdulillah.
Okay, trying to make sure. Can you guys hear us? Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us, because it seemed like we were frozen.
Oh no.
Thumbs up.
Are we frozen, y'all?
What did you say?
Okay, I didn't know if we were frozen, so I told people. I said, just give us. Can you hear?
We're all listening to what you're saying.
Okay,
alhamdulillah.
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 So we talked about communicating to connect. We talked about minding your marriage. We talked about not keeping score. And Coach Fatimah also talked about being in growth mode. Always be in growth mode. The thing is, like I said, we are human beings. If we sat there and just stayed focused on how we started and the first year, second year, third year, we wouldn't be where we are right now.
And I don't want to be that person. I'm sick of her, so I had to get rid of her. So I love that, because neither one of us want to go back there, and people are like, well, you guys are so close now and you guys seem like best friends. A friend of mine said that. I said, we're not best friends. I said, it's different. We're in a family together. It's not, we're besties. We're in a family together. So that family doesn't stop. And it's a whole nother level. And we both encouraged our children to say, okay, this is not two separate families now. I was saying that because I didn't want that. I came from brokenness and broken homes, and your mom's this one and your dad's that one. And it was all too confusing because there was so much distance created by the grown-ups in the family. And Coach Nyla has coached about blending family and stuff like that, because her family's like super good at blending family. Like, I have never seen this before in my 45 years.
In such a blended family until you are in a blended family. Yeah,
because it was fluid. That's why.
Yeah, that's what I know.
It was fluid.
So yeah,
still is.
That's just so funny because I was like, oh wow, it didn't take till I was an adult. I was like, I guess
it's beautiful.
It really was a blended family. I mean, So yeah, and that's the thing. Always be in growth mode. Always be in growth mode. And then we also talk about the mission statements. Talk about marriage mission statement, having that, but just a mission statement in general for what you want your life to look like, what you want you to look like. And that's that whole being in growth mode. Because sometimes, here's the thing, weeds don't need help to grow. Bad stuff gonna happen regardless. I remember, I want to say it was last week. My week was going so good. It was something that happened close to the end of the week. And it was so stressful because it was another thing after another thing after another thing in one day. And I said, okay, how am I going to deal with this? But see, I had to be intentional with it. And that's the thing we talk about a lot too, being intentional. And my thing was that was to be expected. Yeah. So it was going so well. Something bad had to happen because you have to have that balance. And like you said, that test. The thing is, if I didn't get tested, I don't know. The thing is, your growth would depend on how you handle your challenges, how you handle these different situations.
The testing ground.
So you're going to get tested. You're going to get tested with communication. You're going to get tested with pretty much anything. And if you're in polygyny, it's definitely going to be a number of tests. It's going to be test of comparison. It's going to be test of jealousy. It's going to be test of bullying.
Trying to bully you, either your co-wife or people that know. Just Friday, we were dealing with a wannabe bully. Yeah. At Juma, after Juma, our family was dealing with that. I wasn't there, but I was like, you know what? If they're dealing with that, I'm dealing with it. So, you'll get these trolls. And I said, you know what? I know what's wrong with this person. First of all, they're toxic as ever. Second, they're mad because we're happy. Like, we say that, Allah, the shaitan doesn't get tired of trying to stir everything up. But guess who else doesn't get tired? Ultimate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never gets tired. He created it all and he will destroy all of it. So this is a testing ground. And I said, you know what? I made a meme. What was it? It was your haters or your marketing team. So this person that I won't give any energy to by naming their name is mad at our family because our family is functioning and happy. That's it. There's no other reason. And that's not our fault. So we don't focus or give energy to that person. But I said that I felt so good. I was so giddy for the rest of the day. I'm like, you're doing something right. They're mad at us, And it was motivating for me because I remember if I had been sad and upset and depressed and down in the dumps and crying, this person would have been hugging me. But because our family is happy and functional and coaching others, they can't deal with your happiness. So, and again, it's not our fault, but we had the intentions to be okay. Not be perfect, you guys.
Right.
Be okay, be happy. And we do go in and out of happiness. So I don't want sisters thinking, Coach Fatimah said I should be happy and you're not making me happy. We go in and out of happiness, whether we're married into polygyny, not married at all, or monogamously married with no co-wives. We go in and out of it. We're people. And your tests are going to come. It's part of your elevation. So blocking that or trying to get in the way of our own elevation. See, Allah is elevating us in ways we can't even imagine in our wildest dreams. And sometimes it's packaged as polygyny, but that's just one test. Everybody thinks this is the ultimate test of life. It's polygyny, and it's really not. You'll be tested with the death of your parents, with injury of your parents, you know. Both of us have had traumatic injuries to our parents. You know, we won't get into that now, but there's something when somebody that had you is struggling with life or death. Oh, it's a test. It's huge, much bigger than polygyny.
You start to see it. You start to see those things, and that's the thing we talked about before. We just don't need help to grow. You know, life will happen. The thing is, we have to be intentional enough to prune those suckers.
Right.
We gotta be intentional enough, right? To say, you know, one of the mentors, Tony Robbins, said, he was like, if you told them there's no weeds, they're gonna take over your garden.
Right.
You gotta be intentional enough to say, okay, this is something that's causing strife. This is causing negativity. This is causing some issues. Exactly. You want to be honest. You want to be transparent. You want to see these things for what they are, not for what you want to make them out to be at that time. Right. See them for what they are so you can fix it and make it to what you want it to be. But first and foremost, see it for what it is. And the thing is, be intentional. Have that mission statement to say, this is what I want stuff to look like. This is what I want to be. This is what I want to grow into. This is because if we are at the pinnacle, if we're at the top, the summit of what we can ever be, that's a sad sight. I mean, just let's be for real. That's a sad sight because that means that we have no more room to grow.
And that's your ego if you feel like you just learned it all and you're done.
And that's the thing, like even when we talk about Islam, it's like no human being know everything about Islam. It's constant, it's a constant growing. It's a constant thing. We say constant, never ends. So, you know, you want to make sure that you are in this growth mode, that you are creating these statements that said, this is what I want to, this is where I am now, because you want to be able to see where you are, see where you are, see where you want to be, and take the steps necessary, and realize that it's not going to be a straight line. I know the quickest way from point A from point B is a straight line, but we are complicated people. We will go all over here and there and everywhere in order to get to point B. But the thing is that not only that we go through that stuff, it's just stuff happens in our lives and we may have to course correct. Yeah. But being able to do that is key. Being able to say, what's my plan? And what will trip me up in this plan? That goes for myself and my life. That goes for my relationship. That goes for my marriage. Because things probably will trip me up. Yeah, they're gonna come. Your test's gonna come. You change what you can, and what you can't, you don't worry about. We can't change the fact that our husbands have more than one wife. And at the end of the day, it's like if it is serving the wives, if it is serving the husband, it's serving you, and you might not see the service in it yet. But if you have the right intentions, you will. I know 20-year-old me wanted a husband in the house with me all the time. 45-year-old Fatimah, no, I can't, no. Allah knew what he was doing when he put polygyny into our husband's life, because he knew I was going to change up here. He knew it, and I didn't see it coming at all. And I said, this is not doable for me at this age to, shout out to her husband, to
to have a husband in my house every single day. I needed help with the brother. And I'm like, alhamdulillah. My daughter said this, and when our grown children say stuff to us and they like it, it hits different. It's like, oh, we're doing something right. Because they'd be the first one to roast us. But she said, I think Allah gave you, and a dear friend of mine said that too. It's so weird. Alhamdulillah. She said, I think Allah gave you the exact co-wife that you needed, Fatimah, that you could do this and do it right. It's like, because I say that because Coach Nyla is an INFJ. If you guys haven't taken your personality test, please do. And she's one of the rarest personality types. But it's so funny because her personality type is literally in this kind of profile test, the best friend of my personality type. And it's such a rare thing to have. And I said, alhamdulillah, it's so interesting how detailed Allah is. Like we can't even wrap our brains around how detailed and how it's not even that he's thinking of everything. It's just that it's there. It's there for us. We got to decide to pick the tools up and use them and get out of our own way. Shoot, because I had to get out of my way.
Yeah, we have to not be our own mountains.
Yes.
Where we're just stuck somewhere, or that we are blocking our blessings or blocking our path to success.
Get out of your own way, y'all.
So pretty much to sum up, I mean, it's like I said, there's so many moving pieces.
Oh yeah.
We talked about and the things that we've talked about. This can go whether you're taking these things and applying it to your marriage, as well as applying it to your relationship that you want to build with your co-wife. Because the thing is that relationships, they have the basic. We all have basic needs, and our relationships have these basic needs. These needs for change. Kind of like newness. Because you don't want to get bored. These different things like that. This need for connection. This need for growth.
The need to be more.
Yeah.
Because we both wanted to be more, and Coach Nazir wanted to be more. So that's such a good point. Yeah.
So there's these basic needs, and we have to be open enough.
Yes.
We have to be. We have to always be in that mindset. And Coach Fatimah, we talked about that. Mindset is key.
Yeah.
We got to be in that mindset to say, you know what, I want. Knowing what we want, knowing what we don't want to.
Right. Hello.
And
right.
The thing is, some of us can say, well, I don't want polygyny.
No, stop that.
But the thing is that even knowing what we don't want, even saying that, being real blanket, saying let's say because they're women, we know that. It's like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
What is it about it that you don't want? Let's get deeper into it. We actually do an exercise about which is called like 7 layers deep, and it goes into your core why. Yeah. So you can do that with anything: why you want something or why you don't want something. Why, and keep going deeper and deeper. And it's usually about the 7th answer when you say, well, why I don't want it this way, or why I don't want this. Why do I want, like, I think it's this, for example, it's like, I want a relationship with my co-wife. Why do I want a relationship with my co-wife? Well, I want to build this sisterhood. Why do I want to build this sisterhood? Well, I want, us to be able to communicate with each other and our family to be, together. Why do I want this? So you constantly go deeper and deeper, and I'm like, I want our family to win. I want, no matter what happens, we know that we can fall on each other. We know that we can depend on one another. We know that we can trust each other. We know that if we may not have anyone else in the world, anyone as person, we're talking about a person, we have each other. Because of course we have Allah. The thing is, sometimes we totally forget because Allah is not right there in our face physically. We may need this person to remind us. you faltering on your faith here.
Right.
So suddenly we need those physical beings. We weren't here by ourselves. I'm talking to my daughter. We talked about relationships. The first relationship, husband and wife, Adam and Hawa. May Allah be pleased with them. So that Allah knew that Adam needed some comfort. He needed that comfort. Bam. That's what we are. We are the comfort. We're comfort to each other. We're comfort to our spouses. And we're comfort to each other.
Yeah.
So realizing what our purpose is, realizing what we want, realizing how we're going to be, as Coach Fatimah said earlier, being our better selves, our best selves. Ask yourself the question, what would my best self do? And do that.
Right.
And do that. What will my best self do? And now we're not going to always do that. We're like, I don't want to be my best self today. I want to whine. I want to fight it. Which is okay sometimes. But don't allow that to be something that's going to cause strife, detriment, pain, turmoil in your relationship. If you want to be your not so best self, be that by yourself.
Right.
And then once you get over that and want to be better, then you bring that energy to everybody else. Because think about do you want that energy brought to you?
And it always backfires. When we want to be our most rotten version of ourselves, it's never serving anyone. It backfires every single time. You could be thinking you went and like, I got away with it. And it'll come right back and kick you in the rear end.
We
So
always have to answer.
Allahu Akbar. You always have to answer for being a jerk. Always. Because your body's rejecting it. It doesn't want it. Your body wants to go to, your soul wants to go to Jannah. And then we just, throw these things in there. And then we have to, I love that saying, and we've heard it before here, especially in the States, you don't burn your bridges, but it's don't burn your bridges because you don't know when you're going to have to cross back over them. So it's easy to sit there and go, I'll just burn the bridge. You don't know who you're going to need, though. No. You have no idea who you're going to need. You think, I got all these friends over here. Quality over quantity. I like to say, if you have a lot of friends, great. But you never know if they're not going to be around and your co-wife is. There to come to your rescue, and you'll never think it would be her. And then you look up, it's her. You never know who you're going to need. When I started getting close to Coach Nyla's, because not for being a co-wife, but who she was at mothering the kids that I had through biology. And I said, if she's willing to be that for them, then she's willing to be that for me. It's not like, forget Coach Nyla. It's not that. But that proved to me that, because you have so many people going, girl, she just, wants y'all to get divorced so she can have them all the time. And, all this junk, other people's crap, right? Who wants a husband all the time? So I was like, that was proven to be wrong because she would send the kids little things. And I'm like, that's nice, because she didn't have to do that, And I'm like, sometimes I would look at some gifts and I'm like, he didn't do this. I'm like, he didn't pick this out. And he was like, oh no, I didn't buy it. I'm like, this is really sweet of her because she didn't have to do it. It's just extra, outside of what we give salams is extra. And as co-wives, if we're being offered, I remember the sister was sent a plate in front of me from her co-wife. They lived in the same building. And I was like, you can't eat it because the dish broke. Because it was glass. I said, you can't. She was like, I'm not eating this, even if it wasn't broke. I'm like, why not? I didn't eat her food. I'm like, that girl didn't have to bring that up here. I'm like, that's not really nice of you. And they were mad at me because it looked like I was taking her co-wife's side. I'm the side for justice. Yeah. Not picking the side of either co-wife. I'm just saying, if you're my friend and I love you, don't be an idiot. She sent it up here and she didn't have to do that. Don't be mean to her. Don't lie and say you ate it was good, but you didn't eat it because she knows her bowl is broke. She'll know it's broken, So if it wasn't for, Coach Nyla not expecting things, then I think I would have fell or caved under the pressure, because some wives are going, well, she didn't do anything back for me. And I'm like, didn't have to do what she did to you in the first place.
That's true.
You know?
And that's the thing that we will always say when it comes to wanting to reach out, for those who want to reach out to their co-wives, for those who are wondering, what should I do? I want to, but I don't know. Is just reach out. Reach out.
Just reach out.
But don't expect anything in return. Yeah. Now, if you do, alhamdulillah, that's a blessing. But don't expect anything in return, because it's like, why are you reaching out? Are you reaching out to expect something? Or are you doing it because of the kindness of your heart? Because you want them to know that you are there. Whenever they're ready, whenever they want to talk, or whatever the case may be, they know that you are available to build a relationship with them. Right. That you desire to build that relationship with them. Yeah. And that's that. And live your life. Yeah. It's like, live your life. Continue to do what you want to do because you want to do it, not because you're expecting something in return. Right. Not because you're expecting something in return. And that's the same that goes with your spouse. Do things because you want to do it, because you know it's going to benefit, your spouse, or it's going to benefit you. I'm the type of person, I'm for real. I like doing nice things because that's just in my nature. But seriously, I do have a little bit of a selfish thing, because I'm like, I need all the blessings I can get. So, my thing is that I love doing nice things for people, and I tell people, like, don't block my blessings by denying my gifts to you, or whatever. But when it comes down to it, it's like I'm doing it because I love seeing people happy. I love seeing people win.
She does.
I love seeing people succeed. Yes. So when you think about your life, and you think about your marriage, and you think about your relationship or lack of relationship with your co-wife, look into yourself and say, well, why? Why? Is it something that I'm doing? We all should take responsibility for our part. Just our part. It doesn't have to be anything big. We may not even think that we did anything wrong. Right. But that's we have to sit there and just be really internal and say, well, could I have made it a little easier? Could I have made it a little better? Maybe it was something that probably was misconstrued in a type of way. And when I said this before, people were like, well, it kind of looks like it's like the abusive relationship thing where you're always trying to make somebody happy and everything like that. No, the thing is, if it's from the kindness of your heart, the thing is, you want to know, or you want to just look at yourself and say, I'm not perfect. It's a humbling part. Yeah. That's what it's about. It's not about trying to just please everybody or be a people pleaser. It's you humbling yourself to saying, I'm not perfect. And it's possible that it could have been something. Whether I've done it intentionally or not, it could have been something that came from me. Yeah, totally. And that's period. How you thrive in polygyny, how you thrive in a marriage, you take responsibility. You have this winning mindset. You devise a plan. You communicate to connect. And you give people their space, and you give them the opportunity to be different. Yeah. We're not the same. Give them the opportunity to be them. If we were just a bunch of us's, I guess it'll be boring. It'll be boring. We won't have anybody to learn from.
That's so true. You gotta and give yourself time to evolve. It's not gonna happen in seconds. Women, I think sometimes we want it now. I think people in general want triumph to happen right now. Yeah. And this is a journey, and you have to embrace that journey if you want it to turn out and have the best results. Indeed. We always say that best practices equal best results. So you have to be willing to change and embrace change. We like to be secure, and we don't want things to change, and we want it to be just like we had it planned in our mind. But Allah has different plans for us than we have for ourselves sometimes, a lot of times. And it's embracing Him and saying, I trust you, to help me, but He's not going to hold your hand through every single thing. You got to do your work and commit and and become dedicated to doing this work every single day. That's the only way that our family is operating And it's such a blessing to be able to do this. But we've all made the commitment as adults to do what we need to do as individuals on our own personal development journey to become the best version. So if everybody's working to become the best version of themselves, your speed bumps will be, few and far between. Now, even in a marriage, even in your monogamous marriage to your husband, if he's working on himself, you're working on yourself, that's what you take care of first. It's like what we say with the airplane. You don't put the oxygen on the person next to you first. You put it on you. Then if you have some, you help them. So that's that.
Shut up now. Inshallah, you guys got some great information from this, and we can help you thrive.
Yeah, not survive,
but thrive.
In polygyny.
So yes, if you guys have any questions, any comments, definitely. We were looking in the chat as well. The thing is, we're super excited because we go deep into our trainings, a number of different levels, but we're speaking on polygyny. We are doing our 2-hour polygyny masterclass. I'm so excited about it because people have asked about, just a number of the things that, we've done. And of course, like we always talk about, don't compare your chapter 1 to our chapter 10. But we really go deep, and for each phase of, navigating polygyny.
Yes.
And of course that thriving in polygyny, but we talk about these dynamics, that we should master in order to have just amazing marriages or outstanding marriages. And the thing is, it's not going to, and being outstanding doesn't mean that you're perfect.
Right.
Being outstanding means that you are constantly in growth and you are going above and beyond, and you are winning all the time. That's what your mindset is. You're in a winning mindset and a growth mindset, and you're building every time. So we're super excited about doing that. It'll be myself, my co-wife, Coach Fatimah, our husband, Coach Nazir. What is that? Next Saturday?
Yeah, the 19th.
The 19th. So we're super excited about it. Yeah. Definitely. And, it's free. Just register on the site. Yeah. And it's outstandingpersonalrelationships.com/TPM for the Polygyny Masterclass.
Yeah. We're going to touch on being co-wives too. So, it's going to be just jam-packed full of really great information. I'm excited. Alhamdulillah. You guys have any questions, please let us know.
Plan for a fantastic session. Sisters, any questions for them? I'm sure you have questions. You guys have been looking forward to their session, so you've seen them now. I'm sure you've been wondering, like, how do they do it? Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. I actually had a question, but it seems to have answered my question. So, I had a question because I was just looking at both of them until the video freezed up. Got frozen up. I'm like, how are they doing it? Like, it's been looking like magic to me. I've been thinking in my head, God, I wish me and myself and my co-worker can be like this. I wish I could. But she made one statement. She said, you keep trying, but if whatever, I really can't quote her directly, but you try, but if it's not working on the other person's end, just leave it. Try your best.
Yeah.
Then leave the rest to Allah.
So let me help with questions. I can help with questions because of some questions I get to hear. Coach Nyla, I observed, I think I heard Fatimah say something around the lines of, you kept making efforts. So didn't you ever get tired? Didn't you think sometime oh gosh, I'm making efforts and she's not even responding? I might as well just, stop trying and let her do something. What was that motivation? What kept you going?
I did, but my motivation was that I wasn't reaching out to her only, to get her to, here's the thing. I think sometimes incoming wives look at that. I want to get the approval of, the initial wife, or I want to get this approval.
Mhm.
And I was in the mindset of that from time to time, and I found myself falling into that type of trap. To the point where I was like, you know what? Okay, well, forget it then,
Mhm.
But it wouldn't stop me from doing the things that, because that's what I like to do. I love giving people gifts and stuff. So my whole thing was not even when I know that a person loves a certain thing and I see something, I'm thinking about them.
Yeah.
My gift giving to her wasn't just the extension of the extending of an olive branch. It was, I was thinking of her. And I saw this, and my thing is like, why would I not get this for a person if I'm thinking about them? Why would I just let my ego get in the way? It's like, well, she's not responding.
She ain't give me nothing.
She ain't give me nothing. It's like, no, I'm like, I know she loves to draw. I know she loves art.
Yeah.
And I see some things, and I'll send some things. So I think the motivation, though, was that knowing that you put yourself in other people's shoes. You put yourself in other people's position, no matter what you may feel, and you may not even understand what they may be coming from, but to say, you know what?
True.
If somebody is upset, why could they be upset? Why would they be upset? And that's kind of my thing. I'm like, and seriously, that's just how I operate. Sometimes to my detriment, but that's how I operate. And I say, why is this person feeling this way? Or why could this person feel this way? And I'm like, I get it.
You consider the source of the hurt.
So I'm like, I get it. So whenever she's ready, I'm here. And that's kind of that. My whole thing wasn't to get her approval. My thing was just to be a kind person. Just the way,
Yeah. That's just her nature. And people think it's not. I'm like, no, Coach Nyla is really like that.
A number of people thought that my whole thing was, that I had some ulterior motive for being kind, for, giving
and
gifts.
She's going, what the heck? How come I can't be nice to people?
So it was really, that shocked me because I didn't come from that. My mom is the type where she's a giver. I come from a family of givers, and sometimes givers to their detriment, but that's what we do. So I never thought of anything negative behind it. But I think one of the things was when I wanted, us to have a relationship and I wanted to talk, it's like, she don't want to talk to me. So, maybe I'm like, well, forget it then. But the thing is, like, I'm like, maybe one day. And if that's the case, then that's the case. But my whole thing was just leaving it be until she was ready.
Well, my grandmother told me, she said, look, if you're not going to say nothing nice, then you need to shut up. And I took her advice. I said, when I'm ready to be polite and be understanding, that's when I need to talk. But I don't need to talk when I'm hurting. I need to shut up and know my limits as who I was then. And that was just be quiet until you have something that is going to, help people and not hurt them. Or if you're coming from a place of understanding and not criticism. So it took me a minute to get there. It took me a long time to get there. But that only happened with personal development. And I asked Allah for two things. I asked him to guide my heart and my tongue, and I asked him for knowledge. That was my du'as every single day. And he answers those with when he wants to and when we start doing our work. So I knew I had to do some work. I couldn't just wait for it to wash over me. I had to work at being the best Fatimah I could be. And I'm still working.
Yeah, we all.
Alhamdulillah. Right, we all working. Alhamdulillah. That's a good question.
Yeah,
That's a
definitely.
really good question.
Great question.
Any other questions, sisters?
Coach Fatimah, how long did it take you to finally loosen up, like to warm up to her?
I think I can't give you a time. Maybe Coach Nyla can help me with this, but it was more, I don't even think she knew when, but when I learned that she loved my kids, that's when I kind of loosened up. It wasn't just about Coach Nazir. When I found out, okay, well, this is not just about him. This is about all of everybody. So, because you see these moments where you see women married to the same men or having a situation where they're loving the same man at the same time, having children with them, whether it is under Islam or whether it is this dunya, they're operating in the dunya. You get this thing where, oh, well, she just wants him. She doesn't want anything else. She just wants him. And I remember this was ages ago, so I can laugh at it now, but I remember Coach Nazir saying, I said, you wouldn't know what the plan was. I said, women don't go, the plan is this, and then we'll do this, and we'll put that box on top of another one, and mail it to myself. So I was like, you wouldn't know what she's doing, and I was so mad that day. He was like, that's not the plan. I'm like, you think she gonna tell you that's the plan? And I had to really chill out and go, maybe that wasn't the plan. Because he's not left us yet. So either her plan isn't working or that was never the plan, Fatimah. But seeing her love my kids and talk to them and be honest with them, because I have daughters that are grown and my youngest daughter is 18. So I have 25, 23, 20, and 18. So when they started to kind of loosen up and go, I think she was there and I think she likes me. I said, I'm sure she does, because she didn't come off to me as someone that was divisive. But when you're hurting, you start to look at everything and go over it with detail, and you look at the things that are going wrong. And then I start going, look at the things that are going right, Fatimah. And I found the thing that was going right is that she loved our kids too. I mean, our kids, me and Coach Nazir's kids, because she loved her own kids. But I was just, but I had to see, did she love my kids or did she just want them to be fatherless and want me to be husbandless? It was getting over that hump that made me feel better. So it had much to do with her good intentions, and understanding that you can't fake being a good person or being a good soul. You can't fake it. I mean, if you fake it, you're a different kind of actor.
Yeah. The Academy Award goes too. I'm sorry.
But I mean, some people are good at it, and they should get a check if they're going to do it.
After a while, though, it starts to crumble. You can only buy so much. You can fake for so long. You know what I'm saying?
But people that are really good people, they don't stop being good because they're hurting. They're really gonna stay with that good spirit, even though they could be sad, balled up in a corner. they're gonna come back and go, I'm gonna continue to be good in this world. Alhamdulillah. So that was it. Knowing she loved my kids too, and not just our husband. He alright. He alright. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, sorry, I have another question. From your experience working with women in polygyny, of course I know everything is with Allah, but sometimes as human beings we get tired of trying sometimes, and then sometimes we get to wake ourselves up and say, okay, keep going. But when it's extending to years and years and nothing is improving, do you think one should just give up and keep praying for the other person and hoping that something will change, or you keep pushing, going back, and because sometimes it hurts me that I can't really just gist with her, talk to her, do all that, because the block has been created by her. And though I still call, I'm the one that does it, I initiate everything, but sometimes it hurts me because I talk to the kids, we relate well, we are very good with each other, but I just want that relationship between myself and her, and I know I can't force it.
That's for you. That's speaking right to
sometimes
you.
I feel like there's more to what's going on, because I feel it's not normal, extending to years and years, and this is still going on. So I feel it's not normal. So what would you say in this situation? What do you think?
Yeah. Give the person the time. Yeah. The thing is, don't do certain things to your detriment.
Right.
If it's stressing you out, if you're, if it's causing you anxiety and these different things, that's not good for you.
Exactly.
It's not good for you.
Right.
The thing is that we cannot control another person. We don't know, you know, whatever they're ready to do and whenever they're ready to do it is whenever they're gonna do it, if they'll do it at all.
Right, they might not ever do it,
If they do it at all. So, and of course, I get I want this relationship. It would be so awesome because our hallucination of what it could look like. But when it comes down to it, it's like, you know what, I know what I want. And maybe it's not for, you know, maybe it is, maybe it's not, maybe it's not the time. And like you said, years and years, you know, go by, years and years can go by. Like I tell people, don't compare your chapter 1, your chapter 2, your chapter 3, your chapter 4. It took us a while. It took years.
It took almost 7 years. And I know sisters that to this day, a close friend of mine, she said, I haven't talked to my co-wife in 12 years.
Yeah.
So she doesn't see her, the kids don't see each other, and it's really sad. But sometimes I think when we say, you know what, this might happen and it might not ever happen, like my co-wife was saying, we're more prepared for it to go either way.
Yeah.
So then just keep it open. Just keep it open. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
Because you can't make her, and you don't know really what Coach Nyla was talking about how she considered the source, and she's considered not just the source but the trauma that has happened. So you don't know what's going on her end that she might be going through. I was 3 years into polygyny and my dad died. He just fell over and died. I said, now I'm going through this hell and I'm going through the hell of losing a parent. But I still had to remain and keep going and say, you know what, Allah, please, maybe it'll get better with polygyny because I can't do anything about my father dying. I can't do it. My father was not Muslim at all. He completely rejected Islam. May Allah have mercy on those that do so. And may the ones that are still alive, may he put them on his path, on the hawk. But I was like, I don't know, he died and I got a co-wife. Like, what is going on with my life? But I forgot the one that feels lonely or feels like they don't have anyone else, they have Allah. So I just had to really make dua. I think sometimes we want it to come faster than our duas come.
Yes.
You know? And dua is it. You can't make it come any faster. You know, you can't rush growth. So if it took 7 years, it didn't take 17 years. It could have been worse. So we got to look at what's going right, not going wrong. The cup is half full, not half empty. I could have lost my father year 1 of polygyny because he was that sick. And I said, Allah is merciful because he let me have him and everybody have him for 3 years. He could have just died that year. And you know, it's like, where would I be? You know, but Allah did it the way that it was best. So we, you know, putting faith in him is big. It's huge, huge. And stop wanting, you know, polygyny to work right away because it does. Like my co-wife said, it can take years. SubhanAllah again, but you know. Okay, you guys have any more questions for us? And thank you for all the compliments. We're so honored that you all showed up today and you're here for little old us. It's such a big honor because I just, this is surreal on our end because we know where we started. So alhamdulillah.
Can you guys still hear us?
Right. It's plugged up. Everything's plugged. Did the laptop?
Can you guys hear us?
The laptop she can't be frozen because it's moving.
Yeah, it's moving. We're moving.
You're the IT department.
I can't help.
Give us a thumbs up if you guys can still hear us or say hey.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. You're behind the scenes or watching us. We are doing, or I don't know what's going on. It froze or something is not responding for some reason. Yeah. But we were doing the Rise Summit, my co-wife and I. Yeah. So yeah, I hope you guys got some really good information. I think, if we have some questions, we're definitely going to check out those questions. I don't know what happened with this. I'll probably end up going to close the Zoom and
go back in.
Yeah, go back in because I have no idea what happened.
And we're looking up and down, guys, because we have the laptop in front of us and there's some questions here. And we're just trying to make sure everything is working on this end. And it appears as though it's it's not right now. So we're gonna try to fix that.
Okay, let's try
Again,
to
like my
see.
co-wife said, send your questions.
I have no idea. That was weird. I know we were ending, so we were ending and knocking it out. Is there something about being at the door?
Okay. Excuse me. Now it's time to find it.
I'll see. I don't know what happened. So okay, let's see, guys. Alhamdulillah. Do. Yes. It's understood to be the only after. Wait, no. Come on. There we go. All righty. If you guys have any questions, put them in the chat, but put a question mark, either like put some question marks before it so we know that that's what, that is a question, so we can go actually through the questions, and go through the questions faster, so not just comments, or, we're sorting through the comments. Assalamu alaikum, guys. Alhamdulillah. Uh-oh. Yes, they do. Yeah, okay. Probably done with our Zoom. I don't know why it froze the way it did, but yeah. So that's what we were doing. I'm trying to see how we can do this because I want to try to, all right, my co-wife, wait for her to come as well, but I'm looking through. Yeah, oh. Let's see. There we go. Oops, I just put it on my finger all up in your way. So, you only have to you tell your husband gets on the Dean show. Oh, alhamdulillah. Get myself from the pain I feel. Oh my goodness. I'm going to try to see this on a different way. Alhamdulillah. Give me a second, guys. Wait for my co-wife. Know where she disappeared to. Let's see. All right, guys, I don't know what happened, so I may end up having to just cut out, but I'm going to check to see if there's any questions. If you guys have any questions for us, definitely put them in the chat. Let me look at that now.